This meeting is being recorded.
We're back with bassist, singer, writer, producer Chris McLernon, and that brings us to Kinell. Tell us
Yeah.
about the band and how it came together, and what is the latest word?
It came together because I love Thin Lizzy.
Ah,
And the idea was from the name was Kinell, for short for fucking L. So
wow.
when I was out on the Dio tour, that's where he had mostly British guys on his crew, and
Right.
and I love British humor. So I mean, I was glued to them. But as they stubbed their toe, they dropped something. It wasn't fuck. It was sometimes fucking L. It was that, but a lot of times just Kinell, so they get away with it. So that's why I named the band Kinell.
Wow.
And so I love Thin Lizzy, and I gave myself a kind of like an assignment, like, okay, if I was going to write an album for Thin Lizzy in this day and age, how would I do it? It's got to sound certain ways. It's got to have certain subject matters. I'm not going to try and sound like Phil Line it. No, don't. Right, just sing like me, and take the good stuff, kind of the fun muscular riffs and the great poetry and the lyrics and the big choruses, and just write songs and really go to work on the songs. And there's a guy here in town named Colin DeBrule who is also into Thin Lizzy as much as I am. So we literally sat down and crafted these things for all the harmonies, the arrangements, and everything, got to where we wanted them. And then it was just put it together, which we did, and got it all recorded. A slew of drummers. Barry Kirch is on there from Shinedown. Mark Danzeisen, who was in Little Caesar and River Dogs. Eric Rickert, who's the main engineer at Big Animal here. Rick Sanders, who was in Saigon Kick with me for a minute, and STA with Mr. Beeler, Mr. Badger, Mr. Dombrowski. So we put everyone together like that. And so you're trying to make 4 different drummers, not at the same time, from 4 different corners of the U.S. They make it sound like they all played in the same room. So that was a bit of a challenge. So we went to Eric Bass from Shinedown and said, "Hey man, can you make this sound like one band?" And he did. So we threw it out there, and it's just gotten really well received, because you don't know what you're going to get when you do something that's kind of daring. Like, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try being somebody else, but not be somebody else. And so far, it's worked. So Kinell number 2 is done. I just have like 2 saxophone parts to record, and I think 1 drum track. But otherwise, the whole thing's written, ready to go. So that's next on the plate. And there's a third Kinell behind the second one, and that's about 60% done.
Well, yeah, I was a fan early on. Like I say, I've always been a promotion guy. I go back 50 years now, promotions. And I was doing promotions for Mercury back then. And you'll love this. I saw Thin Lizzy play with Queen on Day at the Races tour at the Pacific Coliseum in Vancouver,
Ooh,
British Columbia.
wow.
And of course, Thin Lizzy was on the Bad Reputation tour. And
Yeah.
then next year, they're opening a string of 3 sold out nights at the Seattle Coliseum for Styx, which are on the Pieces of 8 tour. And Phil is walking through the crowd right after he was off the stage. Phil is walking through the crowd. He's
Wow.
like, it was just, you're looking at this underrated team that it's like, man, why these guys got great songs? Why are they, slept on?
Yeah.
They could easily have Styx open for them, or I can't say Queen would open for them, but
Right.
they should have been at a high level, playing with the best of them, and again, hung out with Scott Gorham, which, if you can believe, is from Glendale or even La
Yeah.
Canyada.
Yeah. He's American. Yeah.
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 Yeah. I'm like, so what part of LA were you in? He's like, Glendale. I'm like, what?
Right. Yeah.
that is too insane. But
Yeah.
yeah, no,
Revered in Europe and Japan and the rest of the world. And like
oh,
the United States kind of didn't get him, except for like maybe 2 songs, Jailbreak and Boys Are Back in Town. And that's
yeah.
it.
What
That's
an
it.
album. That came out in 76, man. That's
Yep.
almost 50 years ago.
Yep.
But
Yep. And they
Gary
have,
Moore
oh,
and
yeah.
Ryan Robertson, I mean, it was just,
Brian Downey on drums. Yeah. Just
yeah, it was just kick ass.
amazing. Amazing band.
Johnny the Fox and all those great records,
Oh,
Chinatown. No,
Luke.
it's we always talk about the bands that should have been huge.
Oh, yeah.
They were one of them, and probably led to Phil's demise, man. He was just,
yeah, I'd say that's accurate. I mean, especially they were kind of the victims of that too. Like Thin Lizzy kind of got displaced by the punk bands, although they got along with them. That kind of like what do we do now?
He had that band with Steve Jones and Paul Cook, the Greedy Bastards, or what was it called?
Yeah. And which I loved, and they apparently the punks loved him because his mother ran a hotel in England or Ireland, one of the two, and she was the only hotel that would let the Pistols stay at her place.
Oh, wow.
So they always treated Phil and his mother like royalty.
Philomena. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, Philomena. That's right.
Yeah, no, that sounds amazing. Well, we look forward to spreading the word. And where can people follow your band on social media?
Best place to find us is Kinell the band and on Bandcamp. There's a couple of Kinells, which cracks me. It's like it's got to be a popular like first name somewhere, because I thought I made it up, but apparently I did not. So you look for Kinell, Kinell on Bandcamp, and the icon is like a Marshall amp cabinet with a big K on it, so you can't miss it.
Wow. Well, there is more Kinell coming, so get used to it and open up wide. Here it comes. Our special guest has been the one and only Chris McLernon, bassist, songwriter, singer, producer. What a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us, Chris. Look forward to doing a part 2 and catching up with you and following the course of not only this, but all that you work on.
Yeah, Jam, I'm happy to come back. Thank you for having me so much. Being in a band and talking about it's one of my favorite things to do.